Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today's midweek meta deck is a donation deck as well. We are playing the Creative Technique deck that Beekeeper recently won a legacy challenge with. So, what is Creative Technique? Essentially, we are going to cast either a cascade spell on turn 3 or Creative Technique on turn 3. And the cascade spell will then cast Creative Technique, and obviously Creative Technique is itself. So this has an ability where you get a copy of it if you let your opponent have a copy of it as well. So we'll get 2 copies, our opponent will get 1. What this does is we shuffle our library and we reveal cards until we refine a non-land card, and then we cast that card. So it's either going to find Emrakul, one of these other cascade guys, or it's going to find another Creative Technique. And then we'll get 2 copies of it, because whenever Creative Technique plays we get 2 copies, and then we'll just keep doing this and we'll basically play a huge chunk of our deck, loads of big scary guys, and just win the game. Pretty much on turn 3, and if you ever hit the Emrakul, it just lights out. That's it, that's the deck. So what we're doing is we're playing all of these lands, which come into play tapped, but tapped for 2 mana. So we've got Dwarven Ruins for red-red, Hickory Woodlot for green-green, Sandstone Needle for red-red, Skerry for blue-blue, Sulfur Vent for red-blue, and Tinder Farm for red-white. And we've got the classic soul lands of Ancient 2, City of Traitors, as well as a couple of Crystal Vein. And then we've got some Otawaras and Boseijus in our lands, just to have a little bit of interaction that we can possibly do sometimes. But that's basically the deck. We play a land, play a spell, and hope that that wins the game. It's not Magic at its most exciting necessarily, but if you want to see something really over the top happen, it's going to happen at some point in one of our games, right? We're going to cast this, we're going to cast a bunch of spells, and it's going to be ridiculous. So that's kind of the plan here. Sideboarding is obviously going to be very difficult. So we have a counter spell in the form of Mirrorshell Crab that we can channel. We've got Leyline in the Void, so when our opponent can maybe race us with some graveyard stuff, we'll do that. And then we get to the more difficult stuff. So an Aeve, if we put this in, when we're casting a bunch of spells, the Aeve will come in, because we are casting all these things, this will come in with a load of copies, and we should be able to field a massive board. And then we have Pyrokinesis. This is a removal spell that's not too shabby for us to play. Because it's a 6-drop, all of our cascade spells will still hit our Creative Technique. But then we also have the Pyrokinesis to sweep some stuff out if there's going to be things that are going to jam us up, like Eversworn Canonist or a Thalia that might prove a little bit troublesome and cost us a turn. We can strip it out first and then go on the turn we wanted to. And then we have the other plan here, which is Throes of Chaos. So this has Cascade for 4 mana, and you can retrace it. The only thing it can hit in our deck, and our sideboard put together, is this Tibalt's Trickery. So we Cascade, Tibalt's Trickery happens. We counterspell our Throes of Chaos, and then this goes and casts another spell. So we essentially just get a 4 mana way of doing this if we need to try and go a little bit faster. And it also plays around some hate that might come in, like things like Meddling Mage or whatever. And that's basically it. Our deck is not very clever, but it's pretty big, right? We're playing Emrakuls and Apex Devastators, Maelstrom Wanderer. It's basically like a weird EDH deck that we are playing in Legacy. I am probably only going to play this deck once on the channel, so let's try and enjoy this and get some people. If you would like a donation deck like this on the channel, by all means get in touch with me. You could find me on the Discord, which is in the link below in the description, and you can also just message me by replying to one of my videos, and I can get back to you and we can sort it out. Alright, remember to like and subscribe, and let's play some Creative Technique and ruin some people's day. If you're looking to play Legacy on MTGO like me, why not try Card Hoarder? They're a rental service that I personally use, and I found them better than other rental services that I've used in the past. So why not give them a try? So this is our opening hand. We have 2 6-mana cards. We only go on turn 4 is the problem with our hand right now, but I guess we didn't really want this Emrakul in our hand either. But it's a turn 4 combo. I guess we keep it and see how it plays out. I've not played this deck before. It's also, this deck is called Mississippi River for anyone who's interested. That's the name the person who created it gave it. Our opponent has mulligan to 5 cards, which means they might be a faster combo deck and cause us a bit of trouble here. 4 cards. Okay. Maybe there's show and tell, and they'll show and tell in it something, and we can put in our Emrakul. That'd be a-okay with me. I think we play the... We need red for both of our things. We'll play the Sandstone Needle and pass. Underground Sea from our opponent. Could be a Doomsday matchup. That would be something that would mulligan quite aggressively. Saprazzan Skerry. So we play the Sulfur Vent and pass. So if we can draw a proper soul land, we can go next turn. Otherwise, we're going to have to wait one more turn, which doesn't fill with joy against an aggressively mulliganing blue-black deck. You're going to see a play from our opponent here? No play. Interesting. No wastelands as well, which is nice to see, because we... Right, so these ones work. Tap still. Do we want to play a different colour so we have access to other ones? I think we'll play the Sandstone Needle in case we get wastelanded, then at least we still have red. So our opponent's got this turn to kill us. Otherwise we should be able to combo off. Maelstrom Wanderer is in our deck, will give us some haste. Oh, okay. So we might not be Doomsday at all, we might just be a Death Shadow deck. That means wastelands are probably going to be in our near future. It's going to be a Bowmasters. Yeah, that is significantly smaller than all the things that we're planning on doing next turn. I would not like to get wastelanded. That's the main thing. They chose to ping their own Orc. This means they're going to reanimate it. There's a play I made the other day on the channel, or maybe you haven't seen that yet, but sometimes it's right to do this. I did it in response to an Exhume and that felt pretty good. Let's see how bad this turn is for us. No wasteland from our opponent would be nice. I do suspect we are going to see this Orcish Bowmasters come back now, though. Surprised they didn't do it pre-combat, because then they could make their guy attack for an additional point damage. A Ponder, okay. Or maybe they killed their own Bowmasters because they realised Bowmasters wouldn't be useful here, and they want to fuel a Murktide as quickly as possible. That's the other option. They shuffled their library off the Ponder. There's a wasteland, okay. So we probably lose a Sandstone Needle, I would imagine, here. Since we've been playing, we played 2 out. I guess it might just be the lands we have. So I want to see it that way and go after the Sulfur Vent. But Sulfur Vent is a 1-shot at 2 mana. Goodbye, Sandstone Needle. So one of our soul lands would be good here. We did not draw one of our soul lands. So if we get wastelanded, and we're just kind of in a bit of a bind anyway. Right, I think we play out the Saprazzan Skerry and pass and hope that we get another turn. There's not a lot of decisions to be made with our deck. It's do you keep your opening hand, which order do you play out your lands, and sometimes the order you play your cascade guys might matter, but most of the time it won't. And that's about the only decisions we ever have to make in the game. Apart from sideboarding, of course, which is always a bit tricky in these sorts of decks because you don't even know quite what you're looking for to sort of remove, because you have a core selection of cards in your deck that kind of need to be there to work. Brainstorm from our opponent, they are looking for more wastelands. We're seeing black mana here. This could be a Reanimate or a Thoughtseize. So Thoughtseize doesn't stop us from comboing next turn. We have 2 6-drops. That was not a wasteland, so that's good for us. They have another Thoughtseize. Or are they going to deploy a Death Shadow as a creature? Just a Death Shadow. Okay, our opponent's got 1 card in hand. Alright, so now we do our thing. So we cast this. We want red from this. Blue from this. We'll sack this one. Here comes the Phoenix. There's a Creative Technique. So now we get some copies of Creative Technique. Now our opponent gets a copy as well, which can find some things, but it's not going to be finding our massive yachts that we have, so we're in a much better spot. Murktide Regent. Okay. They can get a little guy. They'll probably want that just so they can soak up some damage potentially, but when our deck goes off, it very much goes off. Right, so our Creative Technique will resolve now. We'll cast this Maelstrom Wanderer. This will cascade into more things and give us haste. There's a Phoenix. Cast this, which then cascades. So you can kind of see the nonsense we're doing here. So on the Creative Technique. Yes, we want 2 copies of this because... Alright, so the writing's on the wall there. We're going to play a bunch of stuff, and then they're all going to have haste, and we're going to smash our opponent's face. Game 1 in the books. Let's go to Game 2. What do we want to do here? Do we want Throes of Chaos to try and get around our opponent's wastelands? Or do we just want to go up the curve and just play these and assume that's going to be good enough? Hard to say what the correct choice is there because I have 0 games with this deck. If we're boarding this in, are we just stripping out some of these things? Or are we just running it back? I don't think we're in the need to try and go off on turn 4. On turn 2, sorry, with Throes of Chaos. I think we're just going to submit. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it type jam. So we're going to have to watch out for things like Hydro Blast. I say watch out. We don't really have any agency to play this game. We just draw our cards and then go. I don't think this is a matchup for Throes of Chaos. I think you need that when you want to try and go a bit faster. So if you're boarding in Throes of Chaos, Tibalt's Trickery, your margins for winning the game are... You've got slightly different odds. What does our hand do here? Interesting. Our Sulfur Vent, if it gets wastelanded, means that we don't get to cast anything. That feels like an awkward one. But I think we keep... And we probably lead out with an Ancient Tomb and see if that can bait a wasteland rather than our coloured source, because we're going to need this for the creative technique. Misty Rainforest from our opponent. And a pass. Okay. A Tinder Farm. I'd rather the Ancient Tomb gets wasteland. So we're going to play the Ancient Tomb first. And see if that baits our wasteland. And then we can play out our Sulfur Vent or Tinder Farm. Prince fetched a Watery Grave at end step. What is the plan here? Swamp cycling their Troll of Khazad-dûm. We have another Watery Grave. Alright. There is a wasteland. Are they going to take our land out? They are. Alright, so we baited that one out, so we get to keep our coloured mana. There was a Ponder. They did not shuffle their library. A Dwarven Ruins. We'll play out a Tinder Farm. If this gets wastelanded, we still have the red off of our Dwarven Ruins. So there's this Watery Grave we knew about. It's tapped. Not a wasteland, that's good news for us. This turn we play out the Dwarven Ruins. And next turn we play a Phoenix. Or do we play the creative technique? Maybe we're supposed to play out the technique. We can play the technique without our Tinder Farm dying, so I think we probably do the technique and then follow up with a Phoenix. Alright, there's a wasteland. But our opponent isn't making threats. Or at least they haven't yet. They might be about to. Okay, feels like we're getting a Murktide, but it's only going to be a 4/4. Because there's only one instant sorcery in their graveyard, so that's not too bad for us. It is a threat, but we should outpace this. As long as we can dodge the other 2 copies of Wasteland that our opponent's packing. We do have an Otawara. Not that I'm really planning on casting that here. So Sulfur Vents comes down, and then we pass. Right, not a Wasteland. So we get to cast Creative Technique next turn. We don't need to sacrifice our Sulfur Vents for it either, and we can do it off of a City of Traitors. That way we don't lose any life off of our Ancient Tomb, in case something goes wrong here. We could always sacrifice the Vents here and play this around a Daze. That's probably actually worth doing, isn't it? Just got our Demonstrate going. How many counter spells does our opponent have? We're playing around the Daze. A Hydro Blast. Sure. So we get 1 copy of Creative Technique. Our opponent also gets one which might find them a counter spell. Alright, they got Force of Will is what they got off the Creative Technique. So they're just going to counter our Creative Technique with that. Somewhat sad. Sure. And that's our turn. I think we probably lose this one now, because all of our lands had to go away to make that happen. Oh. Did they target the wrong one? They seem to have targeted the wrong creative technique there with their Force of Will. So we now just get to carry on doing our thing. I'm not necessarily sure how clear it is on the UI there. So they get a creative technique here. Let's cast a Ponder. That might be able to find them some sort of answer. But we now have 2 copies of Creative Technique on the stack. And if one of them resolves, we then get to put 2 more copies of Creative Technique on the stack. And that should be pretty good for winning this game. Sweet-Gum Recluse. This is not the most exciting, but it's a 6 mana guy with Cascade. Let's create a technique. Give our opponent another copy of a spell. A Death Shadow. Not very good when they're at 17 life. But it fuels their graveyard for the purposes of more Murktides if they get another turn, which seems very unlikely at this point. Sakashima's Protege enters. Can copy any permanent that's entered the battlefield this turn. I think that's our last creative technique though. So now this comes in. I do not want it to be a City of Traitors. We're just going to let our creative techniques resolve now. And a Sweet-Gum Recluse. It's going to cascade, but this isn't going to find anything because we've gone through all our creative techniques. There's only 3 in the deck. So it's going to pump our creatures. And this one's going to resolve and pump our creatures. And we get one more spell out of our deck as well. What's the last spell going to be? We're going to hit our Emrakul. We're just going to have a boarding party. Just a casual 6-3. This is what 3 mana buys you these days, apparently. Sorry, 5 mana. Quite the board. Alright. So we've got 2 big reach guys that can, blocking between them, kill the Murktide without either of them dying. And then we've got a whole bunch of damage on the backswing. Opponent's going to have something pretty good here. They can make a Murktide that will grow their current Murktide. But the problem is we can just go wide enough here. We'll just Bowmasters maybe. Shoulder's Edict just to clear one of these out. They're going to Petty Theft the 9/7. Okay. How are you going to handle the rest of my massive creatures? The Brazen Borrower can block the Phoenix. I'm going to reanimate their Death Shadow. They've got 4/4 and they've got the Brazen Borrower here. So they've got a non-zero amount of blockers, but it's not going to be enough. So that's match 1. Our opponent made a mistake targeting the wrong thing. Forcible, if they targeted the right thing, they could have stopped what we were doing, I think. And we would have had to try and rebuild and the game was over. So misclick or misinterpretation of the UI. We'll take it. 1-0. Let's get around 2. We cast Creative Technique on turn 3. Right. Our opponent has got a Ponder coming our way. I suspect we're probably playing against another one of these blue-black shadowy scam type decks because they're everywhere at the moment and they're probably the de facto best deck right now, I would say. Okay. What choices are we making here? We only have 1 red source, but it's got to come down at some point. So I think we play out an Ancient Tomb first, like we did last time. If they're going to wasteland us, I'd rather wasteland this than our coloured source. To Brainstorm. Once we play the Sandstone Needle, the jig will be up with what we're playing. We also don't get to play the... I suppose we can play a technique around a Daze if we want to hit ourselves for 4 with Ancient Tombs. It's certainly an option we have available to us. Personal choose. Okay, so we're on Doomsday rather than blue-black scam. Okay, so we need to get through this next turn of theirs without dying. So here's our Sandstone Needle. We don't have to worry about wastelands anymore. If we untap, we get to deploy... We're probably deploying the boarding party because the 6 damage might be enough, but they could cast Doomsday right now and then kill us. If they're doing a pass the turn line, then we might be alright there. Alright, so they've got 1 mana left up, which means if they've got any sort of cantrip, they can probably win the game this turn. They're a real combo deck with lots of decisions to make. We're a combo deck with 0 decisions to make. We just kind of face roll our big spell and it wins the game or it loses us the game. Reminds me a bit of Leylines, except Leylines, you're all in on your opening hand more, whereas this one we kind of have to draw a couple of lands and do some stuff. Right, our opponent has finished their pile. We're having a little chat with them. They're quite new to the deck, so they're struggling a little bit to work out how to try and win this turn. Because I don't think they can win this turn. And they think we'll kill them next turn, which is likely, but not a guarantee. We do need to hit Maelstrom Wanderer to get the win, or Emrakul. Alright, do they have a win? Oh, no, they do. Brainstorm. Okay, so this gets them... It depends what they have in their hand, really. They might just be turtling up with a piece of disruption for us, like a Force of Will. Right, so our Lion's Eye Diamond. And they're going to cycle and crack it. Yep. What were the cards they had in hand is the question. A Ponder. So that looks at the top 3. They draw 1. They play the Thassa's Oracle and win. Yeah, fair play. They got there. So is this one of the matchups where you want Tibalt's Trickery and Throes of Chaos? I think it probably is. Are we playing this instead of Creative Technique? Is that how this is supposed to work? Because if Creative Technique hits into Tibalt's Trickery, I guess it just hits itself again anyway. So that probably isn't a problem. So the Devastator is pretty strong here. Maybe we're boarding out some of these less exciting guys here. Because we want the Maelstrom Wanderers because they will swing for the win, giving us the haste we need. So we've got 2 more cards to find here. And we need to keep all of these in. If they cascade into Tibalt's Trickery, it still fires us again into either more Tibalt's Trickeries or Throes of Chaos, which then finds more Tibalt's Trickery. Maybe we're trimming... The Devastator cascade in this many times has got to be good. Maybe we do trim one of the Wanderers here. And are we just trimming another one of these? I don't know. We're going to try this. Or maybe we're supposed to trim some lands. I don't know. Throes of Chaos. We can go on turn 2 with this. I guess we keep. This is what we've sort of intended ourselves to do this game. I have to imagine that Doomsday is one of our terrible matchups because they have good disruption and they have a clock that can beat us. So, not where we want to be. Let's play a Sandstone Needle. Next time we can play City of Traitors if we want to. And get Throes of Chaos going, which can then Tibalt's Trickery and get us going that way. And we have the Cascade to just keep casting this until it works. Throes of Chaos. Let's try and Tibalt's Trickery here. A Force of Negation on our Throes of Chaos would be pretty backbreaking. A Brainstorm. Our opponent's looking for something. We will cast this Maelstrom Wanderer. This should do the trick, I would imagine. Creative Technique. Sure, let's do that. And here we go, doing the thing. So our opponent gets a copy of Creative Technique. We get 2 copies. We still also have another Cascade off of our Maelstrom Wanderer. Thoughtseize. Be my guest. If you want to Thoughtseize us, go ahead. Alright, opponent's scooped up because look at this nonsense. Alright. I like that we did with the Throes of Chaos there. I think I would like another Phoenix in though. And 1 less land. What is the worst land here? It's probably one of these like Tinder Farm style lands, isn't it? Let's cut 1 land from the deck. So our land's got 38. Oh, sorry, our deck's got 38 lands in. So the whole idea is that you can just keep playing your lands. Tibalt's Trickery is not really where I want to be. This needs to be in the deck. We can turn 3 the Phoenix, but I don't really want that. This is a turn 3 Throes of Chaos. And we throw back a Creative Technique, I guess. Alright. A Ponder. We want the Creative Technique in our deck because it goes off multiple times. Alright. They chose not to shuffle with the Ponder, which is probably terrible news for us. So next turn, if they can win, then we lose. If they can set themselves up for a win the next turn, then they can win as well. So if they cast Doomsday this turn, we lose. Thoughtseize. Okay, so they can take our Throes of Chaos or they can take our Creative Technique. If they take the Throes of Chaos, we can retrace it, so that's not the end of the world. If they have a Surgical and they Surgical our Creative Technique, that's pretty good. We can still win through that using Throws into Trickery. Alright, they've got the Doomsday as well. Alright, opponent. Alright, there's our opponent's pile. Okay, so we do get to try and Throes of Chaos this turn because we drew the City of Traitors. So let's hope this does something. Let's get our Tibalt's Trickery. Target our Throes of Chaos. Cast Maelstrom Wanderer. First Cascade into Tibalt's Trickery. I think that's worth doing here. We still get the Cascade trigger here. What do we get here? Apex Devastator. That's a pretty big boy, isn't it? Cascade into Maelstrom Wanderer. Our deck is very silly. Throes of Chaos. We're getting these into our hand here. We don't have any Tibalt Trickeries left. We don't need to cast that Throes of Chaos. Apex Devastator, we get our Phoenix. Alright, that was a victory. Let's go to round 3. Alright, we're on the play, which certainly helps. Yeah, we can keep this and just cast a Creative Technique. It's a bit bad against a bit of hand disruption. But, okay, so we probably lead out on Hickory Woodlot, I think is fine. And then we'll play Tinder Farm or Sulfur Vent. So then we can get our Creative Technique off. And Urza's Saga. Right, what flavour of Urza's Saga are we looking at here? Mox Opal, that still doesn't tell me anything. Lotus Petal, that still doesn't tell me anything. Another Petal. Are we Saga Storm or are we blue? Saprazzan Skerry. So we need to play our Sulfur Vent here for red mana. Next turn we play Creative Technique and hopefully win the game. Let's see what our opponent's doing. Alright, so we're on a blue deck. So we're looking at 8 cast here. Understood. We've seen our Creative Technique now. A boarding party. We could cast the boarding party, at least gives us a threat. Our opponent's not a dazed deck, so. Right, boarding party, cascade. I wonder what it's going to hit. Oh, it was Creative Technique. What a surprise. There's Creative Technique. Our opponent's got lots of zeros, so they might not get anything particularly exciting off of their Creative Technique. Now they have 2 Creative Techniques they have to counterspell here. If this resolves, then if one of them resolves, we should win the game. Alright, another boarding party. Another Creative Technique. Our opponent can have another little card from their deck. Is it going to be another bauble? Yep, another bauble. Not very exciting for them. Right, what is this one going to find? A Phoenix. We have the last Creative Technique in our hand, so this isn't going to do anything. But we've got 2 more Creative Techniques. Boarding party, so we've got 18 damage coming in this turn. Our opponent can trade with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, they can trade with an Urza's Saga. Let's see if we find something really spicy off this one though. They counterspell in the last one, sure. And they're making a construct. Go attacks. Punch our opponent for 12. Okay. And this construct will still trade up, so I don't really mind doing that. But we get to bash our opponent for 12 here. Oh, they just took it all. Okay. Interesting. Shadow Spear is not going to save them here. Either Spell Bomb. That can bounce one of our guys. But they're on 1. As a Saga is not going to be able to poop out any constructs in a meaningful time frame. What are we looking at here? A Psymaster Thopterist. Now this could chain a few blockers out, and that could be quite effective. We can't fire off this Creative Technique yet either. How many 1/1s can they spam? They have 4 blockers. We have 4 creatures. They have an Ether Spellbomb. Right, so we play something that taps a red, like Tinder Farm. And then we go to attacks here. I think we attack with everything while the getting's good. We have to do some amount of blocks here. If they fire off this Ether Spellbomb, like the construct's going to have to die because they're going to have to block something else here. Yeah. So the construct will die if they Spellbomb here. Yep. Bye-bye goes the Phoenix for now. And they all die. We're left with 2 6/6s. Our opponent has to draw some more artifacts, I think. But we have a Creative Technique coming. If that hits, like Maelstrom, what's it called? That then hits another guy, then we're in pretty good shape. Now, we're in pretty good shape anyway. But all right, so we've got a construct here. Now what? A Mox. Yep. So they got another blocker. They don't have Force of Will available here, unless they're about to cast a Thought Cast, which hits exactly Force of Will blue card. Sweet-Gum Recluse. Right, let's demonstrate here. Yes. Right, so what's the 1 spell they get? Emry, Lurker of the Lock. That could be good if we don't win this turn. rebuying their spell bomb is nice, but we get this guy, which can hopefully cascade into... Well, it can only cascade into a creature at this point because we don't have any creative techniques left in our deck, so this should be game over. Yeah, so we're going to make 2 more creatures. They're all going to be massive. We're going to swing our opponent. Right, we did the silly thing. I think our deck should maybe have Bane of Progress in. I think that might be quite useful. Do we want Tibalt's Trickery? Is that a thing we want in our deck here? I'm not convinced it is. Pyrokinesis can be good or bad. I think we're probably just firing it up again, to be honest. I don't think we need to go faster against this deck necessarily. We can just do our thing. They're not going to interrupt our mana because they don't have that sort of tool. They're not a wasteland deck. So we have a creative technique that we can possibly put on the stack, but we can just put our Hickory Woodlot and do the Sweet-Gum Recluse. That's probably the easiest way of doing it. So we'll keep this. So we'll get 2 creative techniques in our deck, and then we can hopefully follow up with this one. Now, if we draw some red sources, things can change here. Either Spell Bomb, sure. Mox Opal. Also, starting the chain with Sweet-Gum Recluse means that it's the last thing off the stack, and then we'll pump all of our creatures. Okay. Let's play our Woodlot. This is the one that stays tapped. That comes in tapped, sorry. So we get 2 activations of this. So next time we can play an Ancient Tomb, and then we can play an Ancient Tomb and play a Sweet-Gum Recluse and get towards winning the game. Another Hickory Woodlot. I would probably prefer that over an Ancient Tomb here. Just get it out of the way with our tap lands here. Because basically we're going to cast maximum of 2 spells in a game from our lands, as a general rule. That's usually enough to win the game. Okay, so they are going to be getting a decent chunk of guys all up in our business here. But next turn we get Sweet-Gum, which on his own is a 3/6. So it's not too shabby. But we have 2 creative techniques we can fire off to as well. So, right, they're tapping out of a decent chunk of mana. So less likely for something like Flusterstorm maybe. Let's see. Right, there's a petal there. And another petal. We can get bashed up for 7 here. The life loss from Ancient Tomb might come into being important here. We will see. An Otawara. Right, here is our Sweet-Gum Recluse. Let's cast Creative Technique. The fact that you get 2 copies of this is very silly. Thought Monitor. So they get to play the Thought Monitor and draw 2 cards. That's pretty good, to be honest. That's a lot more chances of finding the double Force of Wills that they need here. Or Force of Negation as well. Or possibly Flusterstorm. Yeah, there's the Flusterstorm. So that's going to beat this Creative Technique very handily. So they can split it between the copies. We can't cast this Creative Technique in our hand. And we're not going to have time to get to this Apex Devastator, I don't believe. And these ones are targeting another creative technique. Oh, they're surgically extracting that creative technique now. I think we can concede this one. I think the Sweet-Gum Recluse is going to be good enough. So, do we want this play in? That's the question. This lets us go off a little bit quicker. Gives us more options of what we can do. I'm not convinced it is what we want to do. I think we were right first time around. Do you want a Progenitor Ooze? I don't think so. Let's just resubmit. Flusterstorm, not our best friend. We'll keep this. We've got Hickory Woodlot, Skerry into Crystal Vein. That seems fine to me. Alright, Hickory Woodlot. Pass a turn. Our opponent's got an Urza's Saga. And they're following up with a Lotus Petal. And nothing else. Okay. A Dwarven Ruins. That's not really the one we want there. I think we want the Saprazzan Skerry, because that at least sticks around for another stab at it. We can't really play into a Flusterstorm. But I don't know if we have much choice. We have 2 guys. We do get to have 2 cracks at it. An Aurora Phoenix. We can't cast this one, can we? We have to cast the Sweet-Gum Recluse here. Or the Sakashima's Protege. I think we'll have the Recluse here. There's Creative Technique on the stack. Get the Demonstrate. Hopefully it doesn't find anything good. A Lotus Petal. Okay, that's fine. That's not card draw or a counterspell. They're making an Urza Saga construct. They have Metallic Rebuke. They have to put it on the stack and then pay for it, if that's what they have. Right, we get Sakashima here. We're doing our thing. A very silly thing. Are we supposed to let this demonstrate go if they didn't have anything? I don't think so. Because if they find Flusterstorm, we're kind of sunk. So I think we have to say no and just get this one creative technique to go off here. Right, Apex Devastator. That should be game right there. That's a lot of cascade triggers. Let's go boarding party. This one can find the last creative technique. We will not demonstrate this. We don't want our opponent to get anything here. Like, this should be enough to win us the game here. Hydroblast on the last one. Okay, sure. We've got a lot of cascade triggers coming in here. And they're all going to have haste. And you're all going to have your face smashed in. Yeah, so we're going to have a load of hasty guys smashing our opponents. So we are 3-0 with this horrible deck. I guess we're on trajectory for it being quite good in this league. Let's see how we fare. Alright, we're on the draw. Our hand cast turn 3 creative technique with 1 mana to pay for a day. So we'll keep this. That's it. That's my decisions done pretty much for the game. Doesn't really feel like we're playing Magic rather than just doing a thing and hoping it gets there. Right, let's see what our opponent's on. A Verdant Catacombs. We're going to see a Mishra's Bauble and a Verdant Catacombs. That makes me think they're playing some sort of Storm list. I guess we play our Sulfur Vent. And the jig is probably up once they see the Sulfur Vent. There's only one deck we could realistically be playing here. But a Storm deck can definitely race us. Hopefully they'll do like Galvanic Relay on the, not this turn, but the next turn. And then that gives us a turn to bash them. Yeah, this combination of fetch lands screams to me the Epic Storm. Our opponents spend a lot of time thinking on their turn. I suspect that means they're calculating whether or not they can win this turn. Right, they're cracking a Verdant Catacombs. So I decided to do something. Let's see what that something is going to be. A Badlands, okay. And a Tiger. Burning Wish. Alright, so they're building up for the next turn. They've chosen a Thoughtseize here. That is interesting. That does potentially stop us going off. Okay, now it doesn't. Now we can play the Sulfur Vent. And we have red for Aurora Phoenix. So if they don't win next turn and they're just Thoughtseizing us, then we get to play either our Phoenix or our Creative Technique, since we now have double red. Rite to Flame. Okay. Dark Ritual. This feels like go time for them. Thoughtseize first. Probably take the Technique here, I would imagine. Right, took the Creative Technique. So we'll definitely be playing the Phoenix if we get another turn. Hopefully our opponent's just going to do a Galvanic Relay turn and not sort of ad nauseum into a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, Galvanic Relay. So this is hopefully fine for us. On the exile. Burning Wish, Brainstorm, Galvanic Relay. So we don't have any decisions apart from cast the Phoenix here. That's the only thing we can cast. Let's get cascading. Right, we'll demonstrate this as well. That's what our opponent finds. A Lion's Eye Diamond. I imagine they'll want to cast that. But it shouldn't matter. We should be able to kill them this turn. This. Let's cascade into the other creative technique. Yes to this. Urza's Bauble. Sure, they can have a Bauble. We get to see more cards of our opponent's deck. It does. The Bauble is interesting. It's not always one you see in the Storm decks. It's Mishra's Bauble, yes, but alright. Boarding Party. Not a big hit on that one, I'm afraid. But we've still got 2 creative techniques to go. Another Boarding Party. Okay. And then this can come in as a copy of a Boarding Party. And this one can find the Maelstrom Wanderer. That should be lethal there. And the Sweet-Gum Recluse is going to make all our things really big. Yeah, our opponent's scooping it up because we're doing the silly thing. Alright, so this is a matchup where we probably do need to go faster. So I think we want the Throes of Chaos and the Tibalt's Trickery. We can remove one of our less exciting lands. I don't think we can remove lots, but I think removing like one Tinder Farm is probably fine. And then, what did we remove last time? Was it Sweet-Gum Recluses? We trimmed on a Maelstrom Wanderer. Maybe the Sakashimas went as well. That looks about right. So our deck's slightly less streamlined here. It doesn't just cascade into the same things over and over again. We do need our Tibalt's Trickery to hit something that isn't a Throes of Chaos, basically. But the chance of it hitting something that isn't Throes of Chaos is incredibly likely. So I'll take the odds on that. Maybe we can just go on turn 2 if we get a nice hand. It's very hard to disrupt a Throes of Chaos with a Thoughtseize as well, because if we just have any other land, we can just cascade via the retrace. So this is a turn 3 Aurora Phoenix. Is that good enough, or do we need to mulligan to... I think we might need to mulligan to Throes of Chaos in this matchup. Okay. So put this one back, and I guess we put back the City of Traitors. And we say done. So we go turn 1, Tinder Farm, turn 2, Ancient Tomb, Throes of Chaos, Tibalt's Trickery, and away we go. Now our opponent can kill us before then still. They are a combo deck. It looks like we're probably going to get Galvanic Relayed this turn. But it could be something else. They might just be playing stuff out as well. Right, we're going to get Thoughtseize. No. Infernal Tutor. So they're going to reveal something and get another copy of it. So getting another Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay. That means they're probably dead next turn. Right, they're playing out the diamonds. Or one of the diamonds. Alright. I'm saving one for storm purposes. Tinder Farm, pass. Right, so they're going to draw a bunch up with their baubles here. They can make themselves held up whenever they want using the Lion's Eye Diamonds, so that's not an issue for them. They know we don't have an interaction because we can't, because of the way our deck's built. So, right, Flame. I hope it's a Galvanic Relay turn rather than a kill you turn. If we get, because they might think that we can't kill them on turn 2. So they might just do a setup here. Burning Wish, cracking these two, peer into the abyss. They'll draw their whole deck and they should be able to kill us from there. Yeah, so we can scoop here. Our opponent's got half of their deck in their hand, and they've shown us they've got the starting mana, which is usually all you require. Right, we just have to submit as it was and continue. I don't think this is a Mirrorshell Crab matchup. Maybe it is, but I feel we're just trying to Throes of Chaos. Like, their deck tends to not necessarily win on turn 2. It's more of a turn 3 combo deck that's trying to go several times using the Galvanic Relay just to get loads and loads of value going until they find their payoff with enough mana, but they can go as early as turn 1. Throes of Chaos. So this only goes on turn 3. Is that too slow? I think it is. This is too slow as well. Tibalt's Trickery, that's not a keeper. Throes of Chaos. Alright, this goes on turn 2. We'll keep this. So we'll put back the Technique, the Phoenix, and does it matter? I don't think so. Put this one back. Done. Play Tinder Farm and pass. So we cast Throes of Chaos into Tibalt's Trickery and hope that's good enough. The chances of us winning off of that Tibalt's Trickery are quite high. We have to brick twice in a row, basically. And then our cascades have to brick as well. There's the other option. Thoughtseize. They can take our Throes of Chaos, but we're going to cast it anyway. I don't think our opponent's got Surgicals in their deck. That'd be very weird. Maelstrom Wanderer, not the one we want in hand. Cast with Retrace. So, sacrifice this. Pay 2 life. Discard a land card. Throes of Chaos. Tibalt's Trickery, targeting Throes of Chaos. Creative Technique, cast this. We'll demonstrate it as well. What is our opponent going to get? Thoughtseize. Okay, they can take our Maelstrom Wanderer if they want and pay 2 life. I don't even know if they want to pay the 2 life here, to be honest. Because if we have a beatdown hand, yeah, they've got against it. Alright, so there's another Creative Technique. Cast this. Yes. Lion's Eye Diamond, they will cast that one. But we've got 4 copies of Creative Technique. Sorry, 3 cards. Okay, boarding party. This will hit, hopefully, another creative technique. Could hit Throes of Chaos. It hit the other technique. Excellent. So we're just going to keep doing our thing here. Here comes another copy. Infernal Tutor. I doubt they're going to crack their lines of diamond response. But if they have Flusterstorms, they could. So they've brought in a Flusterstorm here. But they don't normally have Flusterstorms. That was more of an ad nauseum tendrils rather than the Epic Storm kind of sideboard card. And cast Infernal Tutor. And they're revealing. If they get another turn, they will win, I think. A Lotus Petal, sure. Apex Devastator. That's pretty hard to lose with. Because that's 4 cascade triggers. Boarding party. Throes of Chaos. We will cast this, which will go into Tibalt's Trickery. No, Tibalt's Trickery is already gone, has it? Apex Devastator. We'll get another boarding party. Cast the Throes of Chaos. Just gets out of the deck for later cascades. Maelstrom. This is lethal now. Alright. Gets out the deck for other cascades. What a stupid game this is. Ridiculous. Another boarding party. Another trigger off of our cascade here. Another one of these. Get another Phoenix. Another Phoenix again. We'll keep this one, why not? In comes this guy. Got another creative technique coming off here. Another Apex Devastator. Sure. So we're probably going to strip out enough cards that this last one is going to hit an Emrakul and we're getting an extra turn anyway, even though we don't need it. So we are currently 4-0. We are just cruising through this league. We've made basically no decision on the way. And here we are. Let's go to the trophy match. Right, we're on the play for the final match of the evening. We have a turn 4 combo. That's quite slow, isn't it? Are we supposed to keep this? I think we still are supposed to keep this. We can Otawara on turn 3 to buy ourselves a little bit of time if we need to. So we can Sandstone Needle into Saprazzan Skerry and then pitch the Otawara on the next turn while we play our Sulfur Vent and then go off with a boarding party. But this is... I think we play the Saprazzan Skerry first because we want to play one of the ones that taps for 2 and sticks around, but we also don't want to have our red source wastelanded. So this is what we've gone for. Dwarven Ruins. Okay, we're in a silly mirror match. I see. Alright, do they have a proper soul land? That's basically what it's going to come down to, unless we draw one on our next turn. Tinder Farm. Can we draw? We cannot draw it this turn, can we? We can play the Otawara and just cast a creative technique, though. But if we let our opponent cast anything, this is going to go weirdly for us. We can't let our opponent have a copy, so we're just going to do it without the demonstrate. Maelstrom Wanderer. Alright, pretty good. Aurora Phoenix, also pretty good. Creative technique. Alright, our opponent's scoop into that one. Alright, so we won the die roll, and we won the game because of it. I guess we have to go fast with these cards. So we're boarding these in, which means I think we get rid of one Tinder Farm here. And maybe we're getting rid of the same things we get rid of normally. Just keep the red spells going. We definitely want to hit all these. It's probably just another one of these Phoenix. They're the hardest ones to cast. And sure. This is a joke of a game. We don't have the turn 2 here. We have the turn 3 if our opponent's going to be slow. But I think we have to mulligan here. This isn't going to do it for us either. Where's the Throes of Chaos? Oh, we don't have the red mana for the Throes of Chaos. I think we have to keep mulliganing here. This is turn 3 creative technique on 4 cards. So we go this, and then we can draw into the thing. Yeah, I think we have to keep this and hope it works there. So we get rid of the Wanderer. We get rid of one of the creative techniques. And it doesn't really matter which of these 2 we get rid of, does it? We have to keep the one that casts Throes of Chaos and hope to draw into another land. All right, our opponent is odds on to win this because they're going first, and that's pretty much what this matchup is. Okay, that's actually a pretty poor draw for us. We do not want that one in our hand. Let's see what our opponent's got over there. Hickory Woodlot. Can they go next turn or not is the question. I guess we play the Hickory Woodlot now. All right, opponent, do you have it? Just having a little joke with our opponent. Do they have? They do have a proper soul land, so we're probably dead here. Let's see if they demonstrate or not. I doubt that they will. All right, so the Maelstrom Wanderer. Yeah, that should be enough here, right? So these two, the next creative technique. So this is a minimum of 20 damage, right? Each of these guys roughly 5. Yeah, that's dunzos. All right, we go into the final game. I think we do want, if our opponent's got Throes of Chaos in, we probably need to keep our Throes of Chaos in because that's how they're going to try and break serve. I think we just have to resubmit like this and just go fast. This hand is no good. This hand is a turn 3. Is that good enough? I think it probably has to be. Yeah, not a fan of this one. Sulfur Vent's probably the weakest land here that can go back. So if we find an untapped... So we're going the same sort of speed as our opponent if they don't have... So we're going to be faster than our opponent if they don't have the Throes of Chaos line. And if we draw a proper soul land, then we just get to go and win. This is like anti-magic right now. We did not draw the thing we needed. Alright, does our opponent have the Throes of Chaos this turn? They need to have an untapped land and the Throes of Chaos in hand to win here. Yeah, they've got it. Yeah. Okay, they can brick. Maybe we'll get lucky. So the Tibalt Trickery doesn't brick straight away, but we can see. Maelstrom Wanderer seems like it's going to be pretty hard to lose from here. So there's the boarding party. If this hits Tibalt's Trickery. Okay, a Throes of Chaos. And then this hits the Trickery, which throws back the Throes of Chaos. Okay, Apex Devastator, that's game over. Alright, so we finished the league with a 4-1, and the only deck that beat us was the Mirror, which is pretty concerning. However, one of our opponents messed up where they end their Force of Will and hit the wrong creative technique, so that cost them the game, which is pretty upsetting for them, I imagine. But yeah, this deck is surprisingly resilient. They need to have 2 counter spells, not just 1, but Flusterstorm is very good against what you're doing here. You can just hit all the creative trickeries, creative techniques if that's what you want. But yeah, so we got a 4-1. So let's talk about the deck a bit more. Well, there's not really much to talk about, is there? Because this deck does one thing. You don't really have decisions apart from maybe mulliganing and a little bit of sideboarding, but we didn't use any of our sideboard apart from Throes of Chaos and Trickery. Because basically what we're doing is so powerful that the other cards are rarely going to be useful. It basically is just the Pyrokinesis for Ethersworn Canonist is about all I can really see you actually bringing in. Nothing else here looks worth it to me apart from the throws if you need to go faster. I can see why you're bringing Leylines, and that probably is fine, but against Reanimator. But they're probably still going to just disrupt your hand enough and beat you anyway through a Leyline, I would imagine. So I think you might even be better off with the white Leyline in those matchups, weirdly. But I didn't really think there's much to say about this deck. I haven't gone looking through all the lands to see if we need it. It did feel like more Crystal Veins would be helpful here, just so that you can actually go a little bit faster. And God forbid, if you're in the mirror, that's the thing you're going to want. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I hate this deck. I don't think it's actually Magic the Gathering, really. It's not anything. It's like an interesting deck building thing. And once you've seen it, that's it. And all your matchups, you're either pretty much just going to win them or lose them, and there's nothing you can do to change that. So this is the exact opposite sort of Magic that I like. Nevertheless, we've played it once. We've showcased how strong it can be, a little bit worryingly so. I don't think this is going to be like destroying the form or anything, but I don't think anyone is going to have a lot of fun with Creative Technique in Legacy. This is just a very silly deck. All right, I think we're done. We never got to do the Emrakul thing, but we definitely got to mush people up pretty good. So if you like this, remember to like the video. Why not subscribe to my channel? Apparently the majority of my viewers are not subscribed, so why not subscribe and help me out? And if you would like a donation deck on the channel, please get in touch. I've got some space for a little bit on the end of August, and I've got some space in September still. If you would like your deck on the channel, just get in touch via the Discord or leave me a comment. And that's it for today. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.